When you visualize a confident person, what is it that you see? So if you're like me and you take time to observe people, you may notice that it's usually the quiet person who's not bragging and boasting, who oftentimes has the most confidence. They just have this air of serenity and they just exude calmness. And they seem to be comfortable being in that listener, observer role. And I've realized that this is because they have nothing to prove. The word quiet should never be mistaken as weak, meek, or shrinking. Quiet confidence is about allowing your confidence to flow naturally, as opposed to forcing it. So oftentimes confidence is mistaken as loud, boastful, or aggressive. This is the person that always has to be in the spotlight, always has to win every argument or get the last word. And this isn't actually confidence, this is insecurity. When you're confident, you don't need to show off, brag, boast, or compete in order to feel worthy. So people who are actually confident don't need to be in the spotlight at all. They can live their lives completely off the grid and be okay with it. And this is because they are in a place of inner security and gratitude. So many don't know how to validate themselves, and they always want to be surrounded by external stimuli because that is what validates them. But relying on external validation is like a drug. It may feel great temporarily, but once that moment is gone, you will crave more. You will begin craving more. So this puts you in a state of insecurity because your validation comes from outside of you. It can be given and taken away based on how others choose to treat you. This isn't necessarily the greatest tactic because it can actually be dangerous to your self-esteem to put your value in the hands of someone else. Because many people don't want to see you succeed anyway. They rather tear you down. So it's important to find a support system, but also to rely on yourself for validation the most. So people with quiet confidence are comfortable with being alone and they don't need external stimuli for validation. Okay, so one of the benefits of being alone is that you have the opportunity to learn how to self-motivate yourself and how to validate yourself so that when you are rejected, it won't completely diminish you because you'll have the skills to motivate yourself again. Quiet confidence is powerful. It's an inner knowing that your validation alone is enough. And no one can take that validation and love away from you because you gave it to yourself. It's like filling your own cup first. Gossiping and criticism can happen all around you, but it won't bother you because your core will be impenetrable and your confidence won't budge. I find a lot of Western cultures teach people these braggadocious and excessive behaviors where everyone is taught to compete to be number one. Who has the biggest house, the fanciest car, and all of that. In comparison, a lot of Eastern cultures like Japan are taught modesty and simplicity. And although there's nothing wrong with extravagance, it shouldn't be used as self-validation or external validation either. You shouldn't feel less about yourself without these fancy things. And there's just something about Japanese culture that is very serene, which is polar opposite to the Western countries. I feel like that's what quiet confidence is like. It's not demanding or complicated. It's effortless. So here's a few tips for people who want to embody quiet confidence. Stop people pleasing and give yourself validation. Stop rushing and learn patience. Stop beating yourself up for being a late or an early bloomer. Understand that we all walk different paths and learn our lessons at the right time. Stop comparing yourself to others and own your uniqueness and stick with your personal style. Stop doubting yourself and trust your intuition. Stop over-talking and learn to enjoy the silence. Stop following unnecessary trends because they're popular and just let it pass you. Stop oversharing and cherish your privacy. Stop bragging and let your success speak for itself. Stop competing with others and celebrate their wins. Stop overextending yourself and reciprocate the energy that is given to you. And the last one is stop jumping through hoops for approval because You are already worthy.